Hey guys, good evening or good night. It's Sunday night. It's officially the end of my third week of this journey, and it's been really, I guess, more than I could have asked for. But I don't want to talk too much tonight. I want to get to a point about something that's pretty crazy. So, um, I've had a great day today, and it's been amazing on a bunch of different levels. And again, I can't summarize it in 15 minutes. Um, I want your feedback on something though. As I've gotten to meet more people, sometimes there's some stories that are uh, inspirational, that are meaningful, that I think they would do a better job of expressing than myself. And I never thought. I guess I did think about possibly just asking them to go on camera, but some people aren't comfortable and things like that. So I'm put this out there to you guys. If I have an opportunity where I think it's a better presentation, if I ask those folks to tell the story, um, do you think it'd be better? Because I don't want to have a camera, necessarily a timer on them or whatever. Anyway, I think it'd be good for the site if we have some of these folks telling their own story. So I just wanted your feedback on that to get your guys' thoughts and so forth. But tonight, out of all the things that happened today, along with meeting Margie and then Scott and his family, which I definitely want to address, I need to talk about just kind of one big thing that came to be. And I'm going to start it this way. If you can trust your Uncle Jim for a minute, I'm going to ask all of you, if you've seen the movie, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen the movie, I want you all to go rent or buy one of the movies that are in my top five movies of all time because of the ending, but it's called Dragonfly. And then I want to talk about that for a minute as I talk about this discussion here tonight. Um, so again, guys, please just trust me. You got 2 hours to kill one night this week. Rent, buy, borrow Dragonfly, and then maybe revisit this video and just share your thoughts. So, and if you have seen the movie and you have thoughts, share them. That I want this to be a community. But so earlier today, most of you saw a young lady that met me on my journey, uh, Margie Jacobs, and she went to church with her, and it was some of the craziest stuff because this town here in Van Wert, Ohio, which I never would have thought, people were just saying hello, reaching out to me, um, asking where I was. They had care packages they wanted to drop off. Well, it seemed like everybody that came to drop off a care package, anybody that met me, anybody that came here, Margie knew some way. They'd get out of that car and she'd be like, "I sewed your wedding dress, or I altered your prom dress," and it's just, or my neighbor, or you worked on me in the hospital, or I worked on you, just crazy. So, well, what was strange, and then Margie took me to this other family, the Redding's house, which is another story I'm going to talk about for sure. But I want to give this as much time and as much credence as possible because this is really pretty powerful to me. Um, and maybe if you see the movie, you'll know why. So, uh, we left the Reddings and came back, and the fact is, we've been doing so much kind of running around today. Margie's been so great about kind of getting me around town and meeting different people that I really didn't get a chance to really sit down with her and talk about it. We did talk about many things, but we really didn't get to sit down a chance to talk. So the drive back home, we got a chance to talk. We got home, we talked a little bit more, and things I already knew just were fascinating to me. There's so much to her as a woman um, that, again, dedicate a whole chapter to her. But there's something that a couple things I want us to learn from and talk about. So I got home and I called my family and my kids, and I shared them a story about Margie. And what happened was probably about 17 years or so ago. Margie had a very serious illness, and she underwent a surgery um, that lasted 13 and a half hours. She was only the 21st person in the world to ever have this surgery, so um, as the doctors called it, she was a pioneer. They gave her a 30% chance to live. Um, they didn't know how long, her life expectancy would be afterwards, because again, she's one of the pioneers. It's only issued at 2 different hospitals in the world, both here in the States. But one of the fascinating things that happened during that surgery was that Margie actually died on the table. I guess they call it coded. And she's a nurse, And eventually she came to find out through paperwork and so forth that she had coded for 47 minutes. So in essence, she was dead for 47 minutes. That's remarkable. I came to find out later on that years later she had breast cancer and beat that. So on my phone, she's now Margie the Death Defier. So that's my little pet nickname for her. But that's pretty remarkable stuff. But children sometimes say the obvious that escapes us. So when I got home, I was telling my kids, and they are always interested. Daddy, how was your day? Who did you meet? And I like to share the stories of the people I've met. And, I don't go into great detail, but I said, I met this woman, and you want to hear something kind of amazing, guys? I said, she had a serious operation. She had a serious surgery. And during it, she actually died for 47 minutes. And they resuscitated her. And first I told my son, and then I got on the phone with my daughter, and I told my daughter, and they both asked the same question that I didn't even think to ask. Didn't even think it. But they both asked the same question. What happened when she died? What did she see? And the basis of that movie, Dragonflight, deals a lot with that. So I didn't even think about it. So after getting off the phone with my kids, I went downstairs, and we were talking, and I said, Margie, I know this happened. My kids were both curious. My kids asked the question, and I said, did you see anything? Did anything happen? And a smile came across her face, and she said, yeah, it did. And she started to tell me the story. And again, I won't do the story justice, but in her telling of it, the hair on my arms was standing up. And part of the reason why is because, it's just something I've always thought about. It's one of the reasons I love that movie. And to hear from somebody who I have no reason to doubt, that has no agenda, that has nothing to gain from this. So the story kind of goes like this. Margie was in recovery, and she's had some real serious stuff. But anyway, she's in recovery from the surgery. And she was an RN nurse in oncology unit, and she resuscitated people for her profession prior to this. So she has a little bit of insight. But so she's in recovery, and her two doctors come in to talk with her, and she says to the doctor, what happened during the surgery? What happened with the anesthesia? Did someone forget to administer the anesthesia? Did they let off the level? Why did you guys let that happen? And the doctors kind of looked at each other, and they said, Margie, no one let off the anesthesia. She said, look, I'm not making this stuff up. Don't tell me, did you do it? Did they do it? What happened? And again, I said, Margie, we didn't, no one let off the anesthesia. So she's getting a little frustrated by this, and they're basically telling her she's crazy in her mind, and she's like, no, don't tell me. I saw you hooking up the IVs. You went and shut off the music, because apparently they play music during surgery. And she starts retelling things that she saw while she was awake. And she's doing it passionately. And as she's doing this, the two doctors are kind of looking at each other like, okay. It's kind of mind-bending. So after she says, guys, I'm not crazy. I know what I saw. And she tells not just one, not just two, but, upwards of 10 things, a half a dozen of 10 things that she saw. The doctor said, look, Margie, can we talk to you for a minute over here? I have a couple questions. So he asked her some questions. What else did you see, kind of thing? And she kept telling him. And he said, the doctor hadn't told her, the doctor hadn't told the family. He says, Margie, nobody took you off of anesthesia or let up on anesthesia. In fact, you coded and you were out for 47 minutes. So, I'm not telling people what to believe, but, this woman sat there and was able to tell doctors, and 47 minutes is quite a long time, I'd imagine, for someone to be coded and be resuscitated. But she was able to tell the doctors what they were doing, specifically things they did, and they couldn't deny that they did them. So, but you've heard stories about seeing the light and seeing angels and all sorts of things. I know Hollywood talks about things. Tonight I spoke to a real life person, and when I asked her, she just told me matter of factly she didn't volunteer the situation. I even asked her, I said, did you ever see them? There's a movie. I didn't even tell her the name. I said, there's a movie in Hollywood that deals with almost this exact same thing. And she said, that movie with Kiefer Sutherland and Julia Roberts? No, no, different one. And she said, no, never saw it. And I said, did you ever see the movie Dragonfly? And she said, no. I said, well, it kind of deals with exactly, you know, your situation could have been, it was seen in that movie. I mean, it's very similar. I mean, a little bit of a different storyline, but very similar. And that's when the hair was standing up on my arms. And I never would have even thought to ask the question. But again, these little kids, their minds work differently, and they asked, and I'm glad I did. So I followed it up, being she was a nurse that had seen this, and said, had you ever heard, any stories? And she'd heard of things with light, people seeing light and telling her, but then she recounted one story in particular where almost the exact same thing happened, where a patient, she was working down in, I believe, Houston, and this woman had coded, and there were 3 nurses in with the doctor, and she recovered. And in her recovery, her and one of the other nurses had come into her room to say, hey, it's great to see you, and you're up and about. And the lady kind of joked back a little bit and said, it's great to see you guys too. And then she looked at the one nurse and said, but you should be ashamed. You're the one that said shit when you dropped the IV, when you dropped the needle. And they looked at each other, and what happened in the haste to get her resuscitated. All the nurses have, I guess, different responsibilities of almost passing the needle of epinephrine. I'm not sure what it was, but dropped the needle and said, oh shit, give me another one. And that was the nurse. And this woman, coding, recalled that. And then she made another comment, and she says, where's the one that was taking the stuff out of the toolbox? And he basically called their kid a toolbox. And that was the one of the 3 nurses that was off that night, and these 2 came in. So this woman recalled who said what, and recalled there was a 3rd one that wasn't present that day, and she was never off of her anesthesia either. So again, guys, I'm not here to tell people to believe things or not believe things. I'm just out here to put out information and let you come to your own determinations and things like that. So I don't know what I ever believed about the afterlife. I don't know what I ever believed about, being called to a light and things like that. But here's a woman who's defied death twice, still kicking and going strong, and there's more to tell about her as well. I just wanted to talk about this topic tonight before I go to bed because there's so much more to tell. But she had no agenda. She never saw a movie that planted a seed in the back of her head subconsciously. For the people that might want to doubt this, I don't know. I just I sat there in awe. And again, I think that had I had the video camera on her and hearing her tell it with a whole lot more passion and a whole lot more detail than I ever could, would bring to light this even greater. So I don't know how other people feel about it. I didn't approach her. Maybe I'll try to do that in the future. Maybe someday when I retrace this journey for the book or something, where I'll actually go back and pick out certain people and ask them to do that. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I do want your feedback. I think it would be great if some of these folks, because they'll tell it with much more detail, with much more passion than I ever could. I'm just trying to do it with some credibility with it, but kind of a neat topic. An amazing movie. I thought it was an amazing movie. I love it because of the ending and the topic. I love movies that make you think. And again, it's a topic that, to those that want to be able to put their finger on something and touch it, there'll be naysayers, and those that are faith-based. And maybe some of you out there know of a circumstance or a family member or even yourselves have had an experience, yes or no. And again, that's what I want this community to be about. So if you can, hear this, go see that movie, share your thoughts on the movie. If you've had experiences that are similar, or even if you totally disagree, this is what I want our dialogue to be about. So the video will be out there. You'll get to comment on it. And that's about it for tonight, guys. So my kids are already asleep. I love you all. Thank you for following. Thank you for all the help this weekend. Laura for getting the viewers up. And I love all you guys. Can't wait till the morning to talk a little bit more. Take care now. Good night.